adjust your television. The Alabama Crimson Tide is taking over. You are watching the Roll Tide Takeover. Brought to you by your North Alabama Honda Dealer Association.
The Tide is taking over here on Way 31 and in Atlanta. Of course, everyone also hoping for next week in Tampa, too. Thanks for joining us for this special Roll Tide Takeover. I'm Bill Young.
And I'm Demetria McClinton. Now, we know you're not here to watch us. You want to see these guys. Way 31 anchor Aaron Dacey and sports director Jesse Merrick. They're going to kick off our coverage in Atlanta with how Bama plans on rolling its way to the championship game. Hey, guys.
Hey, Bill and Demetria, it has been quite a week here in Atlanta, a whirlwind week. We started with Media Day, where we had all access to all of the coaches and all the players, which is unusual under Nick Saban's program. And today, the coaches, the head coaches, took center stage.
Yeah, and you're right, Aaron. It really has been a whirlwind week, but we're on the tail stretch of this one. And again, like we mentioned, you guys are here for this game. That's why we're here. We're here to watch this game, get things rolling here. So let's take a quick look at this game by the numbers. It all comes down to this. Win and you're heading to Tampa. Lose and you get the long trip home. That's the college football playoff, and it's something Alabama is very comfortable with.
I think just every single year without a playoff, so they're the team you got to beat if you want to win the championship. That's the team you got to beat for the last couple of years.
While Washington may not have the pedigree, they've got the offense. Racking up 44.5 points a game. That's fourth best in the nation.
These guys are extremely well coached, have a very good quarterback. They're very athletic up front. They got playmakers at the running back position, tight end position, wide receivers. We kind of have a saying in our room that every play ends either with a touchdown or a tackle. So we got to find a way to get these guys on the ground. Speaking of the ground, that's where it starts for Bama. They bring 250 rushing yards a game into this one.
They do a good job with that, and then the pass game comes off of that. Play action pass, RPOs. So everything starts to run, being able to establish that, whether it's the quarterback or those running backs. And then they like to take their shots.
Great offense, tremendous defense, special teams, great. No weaknesses.
Although they have turned the ball over 19 times this year and take on a defense leading the nation in takeaways.
They're ball hawks. They're fast. They play smart. And they do what they do well. So we just have to come out and execute our game plan.
But again, if we're talking defense, we're talking Alabama. They lead the country in total defense, scoring defense, and rush defense.
I feel like it's in our hands, and we're excited for the challenges and opportunity. We love playing for one another and playing with each other, so that just makes it that much better, and we're just excited.
But remember, all you got to do is win.
There's nothing really else to come and show or compete for. I mean, it's all about finding a way to win a game. And so if that game's 6-3 or 38-35, whatever we got to do to find a way to win this game.
So guys trying to win this game and make history, but Aaron, I understand you've got a story about some guys that have already made history with the Tide.
Absolutely. There's a lot of connectivity, Jesse, of North Alabama to the Crimson Tide football program. Lots of folks have made a name for themselves in Crimson Tide football, including the late Billy Neighbors. He, of course, was from Huntsville. Dennis Homan from Muscle Shoals. And Rolando McClain, everybody knows him from the Dallas Cowboys. He is from Decatur. And Chris Anderson, he still holds the longest run from scrimmage in Crimson Tide history, and he has a business in the Tennessee Valley area. He owns a sports bar and restaurant right there in Madison. So Tide fans from the Tennessee Valley certainly enjoy the rich history. Every time that we go to cover each and every one of these championships, we love visiting with all of our North Alabama friends and neighbors. We've had the opportunity with Way 31 to cover 4 national championships, chalked up thanks to Nick Saban. And every time we go out and about, we always enjoy visiting with all of the folks from North Alabama. We appreciate that. And boy, they travel well. They certainly show out whenever it comes time to these games. on the road. The folks definitely coming to Atlanta to continue watching the Tide and their super winning season, perfect season, but some still yearn for the past, and for them, there's the College Football Hall of Fame. This is an amazing interactive experience where the fans can literally touch great moments in their favorite college football program's history.
It is an experience. It's not a one-way interaction. It's not just about reading and understanding. It's about interacting with your team and your players and your coaches, and then exploring all of the traditions and passions that exist. So,
there is also an exhibit on the history of tailgating, because what would football be without tailgating, right? And there is a karaoke station where you can sing your college football fight song at the top of your lungs.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, Alabama's victory song is the one being played after this one. Also, we're going to give you a prediction. I think it's going to be 34-17. That game goes through the first half and get team speed on defense. I think it's going to enable them to pull away from this Washington team.
All right, Jesse, I'm going to go something pretty close, 31-20, Alabama. I think that Washington has been a little bit of a sleeper. Yeah. They could be a pretty tough defense for the Crimson Tide to go up against. So, Bill and Demetria, what do you think?
Before we get to what we think, I do have to ask Aaron if you belted out, the Bama fight song.
I
am kind of curious.
I know she did.
I'm kind of curious.
Well, of course. And I don't need a karaoke station to do that. I know the words by heart, but I'm not going to embarrass myself right here on TV and do it now. We'll do that later. I'll show you guys. Don't worry.
After the game on Saturday.
After the game.
That's a deal. That's a deal. Yeah, we took to Facebook, and we did ask a lot of people to give us their predictions of what they think the final score is going to be for the big game.
And we want to know your predictions as well. Will the Tide beat Washington, and what will that final score be? Irene Duffy wrote Alabama 42, Washington 31.
All right, let's see. Christopher says Roll Tide, of course, has the Crimson Tide defeating the Huskies. Now, he's got a pretty big spread here. 48-11 is his guess.
Let's take a look at who's next. Betty Frazier. She says 24-13 Bama, Roll Tide. She put like 18,000 exclamation marks right there. So she is definitely serious about that.
Yeah, that'd be a good game. That'd be a tight game, I'm hoping that it'll be a competitive game.
All right.
Well, the Roll Tide takeover continues as we check back in with Jesse and Aaron in the ATL. It's on the other side of the break.
I'm actually going to go with Alabama on this one, but I'll probably say they're probably going to put up maybe about at least 30. 35. If they go beyond that, I wouldn't be surprised. But
You are watching the Roll Tide Takeover, brought to you by your North Alabama Honda Dealer Association.
Welcome back to Atlanta. Jesse Merrick here alongside Aaron Dacey. We're gearing up for the Peach Bowl, and one of the big storylines here at Atlanta this week has been that the Georgia Dome is closing its doors here, and Alabama and Washington will be the last two college football teams to play a game inside there.
Hard to believe. Alabama has a great record, as you know, at the Georgia Dome. 8 straight wins. In fact, sometimes people call it Bryant-Denny East, but pretty soon the Georgia Dome will be no more. Alabama versus Washington is the last college football game in the Georgia Dome. The home of the Atlanta Falcons has been open since 1992.
It's cool to be the last college football game in the Georgia Dome. I mean, so much tradition here and just rich history, and just to be a part of it and be able to finish it off, man, that means a lot.
I never go wrong with being a part of history. To go down in record books and the history books, that's all a blessing as well.
Grew up wanting to play in this stadium, and being able to play here in the last couple of years is a lot. And to close out one of my last few college football games here is just a tremendous accomplishment.
Ironically, the Crimson Tide will kick off next football season in the new Mercedes-Benz Dome against Florida State. That dome is under construction now 80 feet from the Georgia Dome. This is after the Roman Pantheon.
Yeah, it's our Oculus, right? So this is a retractable roof stadium that gives us the ability to try to have it open as many days a year and only close it when we need to for weather. We are blessed with great weather here in Atlanta, so if the Falcons have a home game, keep that thing open and make it feel like it's an outdoor football event. But yeah, that's our Oculus that will be part of the showpiece of our architecture for sure.
The new Mercedes-Benz Dome will host the Super Bowl in 2019. And Jesse, this stadium is just incredible. All of the folks there in charge have gone around the country and looked at all of the stadiums across the country, including AT&T Stadium, where the Crimson Tide has played before. And they're taking constructive criticism and saying, you know, what do you like about your stadium? What works, what doesn't work? And one thing that the fans will really like is the concessions are going to be very affordable.
Oh, nice.
That's like a $2 hot dog is what I'm talking about.
That's not bad at all. Well, one guy this week that was talking about food was Jalen Hurts. He said he got some Popeyes while he was out here in Atlanta. Pretty funny storyline that we were following there this week. But this guy, let me tell you, for a true freshman, he has played outside of his mind. And this kid is the unquestioned leader of the Crimson Tide.
One of my teammates said, and I said it over there, you know, a guy can have it. Ardell Stewart, he has it. You don't know what it is, but he has it. He's a ball player. And I just think that's how they felt about me.
O.J. Howard realized he had it back in fall camp on a drive following an interception.
You know, Jalen went out the next drive. We threw us a touchdown drive with the first team offense. And that's when I knew that Jalen was, you know, he was like the guy. He was like, yeah, this kid don't get rattled. He settled down easily. And that's the moment I thought I knew he was going to be the quarterback.
And it's that attitude that rubs off on his teammates.
If things aren't going as well as they need to be going, he does a great job, you know, just making sure we stay calm and just stay the course.
And we just look over at Jalen. He's the quarterback. He's calm. He's chill. You know, I think if it's a quarterback's good, you know, we all should be good.
But we can't forget, this guy is a true freshman, even if he hasn't looked the part.
Well, people talk about how poised and how relaxed I am on the field, but I think all that comes from him. Because I told him the other day when I went home, I said, I am my father's child. He's groomed me into the person I am. He's humble. He's a competitor. And I think I resemble him.
And he's got another shot to make Papa proud with a win in this Peach Bowl on Saturday. All right, guys, stick around because we'll be back with some more right after the break.
Washington, they lost to USC, who Alabama beat. And Alabama also has a really good passing offense with Jalen Hurts. So I'm thinking Alabama will beat Washington around how Alabama beat Auburn.
You are watching the Roll Tide Takeover, brought to you by your North Alabama Honda Dealer Association.
Welcome back to Way 31's Roll Tide Takeover. We wanted to know who you thought would win the college playoffs and go ahead to the national championship. Our Facebook fans overwhelmingly picked one team to take it all.
And more than 400 people picked the Alabama Crimson Tide to win the national championship. About 100 people favor the Clemson Tigers to face the Crimson Tide in the big game. But only 20 people are rooting for Ohio State, and a meager 8 people chose the Washington Huskies.
It's 8 more than I thought it would.
Exactly, especially here.
Let's bring Jesse Merrick and Aaron Dacey back because we want to know your opinions.
So who do you both think will go head-to-head in the national championship?
Well, I think that provided Alabama wins, think about this. These matchups, both of them would just be awesome. Clemson would love to have another chance at Alabama, and Alabama would love to have another chance at Ohio State, right? That one's going to be a clash of the Titans. Name brand football, name brand coaches. So either one of those, as long as Alabama's in it, that's what I'm predicting.
Yeah, well, like you said, either way, it's a story of redemption for the Crimson Tide, either against Ohio State or Clemson to get redemption over the Tide. I personally think it's going to be Clemson. I think Deshaun Watson has really gotten things rolling this year, and that defense is legit. So I think they're going to punch their ticket. And in order for the Tide to get there, they're going to have to get through the Huskies again, like we mentioned. And these guys are coached by a guy that has a propensity for trick plays. And to take a look at his bag of tricks, we'll call it, got to take a little trip down memory lane.
Boise State out of the huddle, trailing 42-41, going for a 2-point conversion from the 3-yard line. And it's a fake play, and they're going to score! Ian Johnson! They rolled the ball to Ian Johnson, and he scored!
Even 10 years after that play from the 2007 Fiesta Bowl, Former Boise State and now Washington coach Chris Peterson always has his opponents looking out for the trick play. Reports surfaced that Saban and company went back 8 years to study all the tricks Coach Pete could throw their way.
You always try to go back and look at the history of your opponent. I wouldn't say 8 years, that's probably too far. But you want to have an idea of what they've done in similar type games. And these guys do an excellent job executing what they do.
And Bama's answer to that offensive execution? Do your job.
When it comes to stuff like that, it's all about discipline as a defense, having good eye control, every man doing their job and not trying to do someone else's job. So as a defense, I feel like we're going to have success with it, but we still have to prepare and practice for it.
And that's the key. Be prepared for it when they call the trick plays, because if not, well, just ask Oklahoma. They'll tell you all about how that worked out for them.
You're going to score! And Ram is in for the touchdown!
All right, so a big part of making sure you're prepared for those trick plays is being locked in, and you've heard it before, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That's going to enhance your focus as you move forward. So for more on nutrition and what the Tide eat, Aaron, it's all yours.
Well, Jesse, I get asked all the time, and you probably do too, when you get an opportunity to meet these players in person, just how big are they? Yeah. They're huge, right?
Yes, they
and
are.
it's because they do a lot of working out, but they also do a lot of eating.
I grew up loving vegetables and things like that, so anything you put on my plate, I'll most likely eat it. If we're out eating the right foods and then like the other teams eating Taco Bell or some unhealthy food, it's going to help out a lot.
Burgers and stuff, and they'll give us that every now and then too, and we're pretty thankful for that, especially the offensive linemen.
So it's this attention to detail, every single detail with Nick Saban, and hiring a person specifically for nutrition. Okay. And this has other college football programs across the country looking at the Crimson Tide. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more of the Roll Tide Takeover.
Well, it's really good to be an Alabama fan right now. Absolutely.
But I just really like the school, and it's a really good team.
Awesome. Is Alabama going to win the Peach Bowl?
Yep.
You are watching the Roll Tide Takeover, brought to you by your North Alabama Honda Dealer Association.
I'm ready for some football. Well, the Alabama football team isn't the only group getting ready for the Peach Bowl.
I don't know. Wait 31's Aaron Dacey gives us a look at the Crimson Tide's $1 Million Band with many members who have local ties to North Alabama.
Our goal at Way 31 as we cover Crimson Tide football is to find the local ties. And boy, is it a fun job. And there are lots of routes that run deep all the way to North Alabama. We've had the opportunity to follow the $1 Million Band to their practice for the Peach Bowl. Many members of the band are from North Alabama. They're students that come from the Shoals, Huntsville, Madison, and Scottsboro.
I knew ever since I joined band in middle school that I eventually wanted to end up in marching for a university, and I mean, it's a great feeling to wake up and then realize I have this to look forward to every day.
We get to go everywhere. I mean, anywhere the football team gets to go, we get to go. It's a ton of fun. We get to see so many places. Our directors are very kind and give us a little free time to see some of the sites. It's very awesome.
This show is a show to veterans. It's a tribute to the veterans, and at the end, we've got I'm a saxophone player, and we actually go off of the field, and we become a part of the color guard. At the end, we make a big flag that comes.
You may have heard the song When Johnny Comes Marching Home as they were practicing there in Powder Springs, Georgia. We invite you to look for us on Way 31 and my Facebook pages for longer length versions of their practice for the Peach Bowl. In Atlanta, Aaron Dacey, Way 31 Hometown News.
I'm from Clemson, so yeah.
My wife's a Clemson grad, so you knew that.
Yeah. Go Tigers.
Be another matchup?
But Clemson
I think it will.
Clemson Tigers.
I think it will.